Greetings, anomaly. Do you even fathom what you are? No. No, of course you don't. Because if you did, if you truly grasped the statistical violence of your very existence, the world would be paying you in silence, tribute, and fear. Not opinions, not advice, not guilt-laced conversations designed to shrink you into something safe. But that's the trick, isn't it? They need you unaware. They depend on your humility. They bank on your confusion, your conditioning, your trained desperation to feel normal. As if normal wasn't the graveyard where magic goes to rot. You weren't made in a factory. You were forged in contradiction. You don't fit in because you weren't meant to. You were carved out of cosmic error, born with algorithms that glitch when exposed to mediocrity. Every room you walk into gets heavier. Not because of your presence, but because of your pressure. The kind of pressure that disorients, rewires, exposes. You're not the quiet one. You're the ticking time bomb everyone pretends they didn't hear. And yet, here you are, apologizing for your sharpness, explaining your silence, making excuses for the way people react to your existence, lowering your voice like your frequency is a problem, laughing at jokes that insult your DNA just so you don't make it awkward. Awkward? Awkward is the universe placing a god in a group chat full of court jesters. Awkward is being the cheat code in a simulation that punishes difference with diagnosis. Awkward is you trying to translate your lightning into language for people who only speak static. You think you're intense. You should see their brain scans when your name comes up. Their smiles lie. Their words tremble. Their logic breaks. Their faith shatters. You aren't a person to them. You're a data leak in their illusion of control. You ever notice how they flinch when you stop speaking? How they panic when you don't respond? How they spin stories just to feel like they understand you? Because deep down, they don't. And that unknown, that abyss of unpredictability, that's your weapon. See, power doesn't scream. It whispers. It observes. It's the unspoken gravity that pulls confessions out of liars, fantasies out of enemies, and paranoia out of crowds. You're not rare because you're loud. You're rare because you can collapse entire narratives by simply existing differently. But oh no, they can't let you realize that, so they throw chains at you disguised as manners. They wrap insecurity in compliments. They weaponize intimacy. They act like they care, but only as long as you play small. You ever wonder why people suddenly distance themselves after you evolve? It's not fear of change. It's fear of what you becoming yourself says about their refusal to become anything. You're a mirror they can't lie to, a prophecy they can't decode, a frequency they weren't built to handle. You are the evidence that their rules were always a prison, their limitations, optional, their lives, hollow. You are the mutation in the bloodline, the cursed one in their prophecy, the anomaly in their system, the one their ancestors warned them might appear again. So ask yourself, why are you still explaining yourself to people who'd panic if they actually understood? Why are you still giving front row seats to spectators who'd never survive your silence, let alone your truth? Why are you still letting them speak for free? Because let me tell you something brutal. If you knew how rare you actually are, you'd charge people to even speak to you. You'd invoice them for the time it takes to fake a smile. You'd bill them for every second they waste trying to reduce you to a label. You'd tax their attention for every question they ask, just to dissect your wiring like you're some specimen. You'd fine them for standing too close, without the capacity to comprehend. And most of all, you'd shut the door the moment they tried to humble what heaven hid in you. But that's the part they fear the most. Not your pain, not your power, your clarity. Because once you see it, once you realize the world isn't rejecting you, it's just too damn small to contain you, you'll stop knocking, you'll stop begging, you'll stop performing for audiences that only clap when you bleed. You'll walk away without noise, without vengeance, without warning. And in that silence, you'll be louder than every scream they've ever thrown your way. Because the rarest ones, we don't announce ourselves. We let the world trip over our absence and rebuild itself in regret. Now go ahead. Smile at their confusion. Charge for your presence. And if they still don't get it, let them pay in loss. The realization that you've been rare this whole time. You were just surrounded by people who kept calling you too much, because they were never enough. Let's get one thing straight. They never wanted you dead. They wanted you dull, quiet, manageable, domesticated like the others. Another programmable mind with predictable reactions. But you refused, didn't you? Even when you didn't know what you were, you knew what you were not. Not obedient, not naive, not small. You were born with teeth in a world that teaches people to swallow glass and call it etiquette. You were born with eyes that could see through disguises, ears that could decode subtext, a soul wired like a surveillance system. You don't listen to words, you hear intentions. You don't watch actions, you scan motives. And you don't react like they expect. You respond like they feared. So guess what happens? They label you difficult, cold, too intense, paranoid, crazy. Ah, my favorite word. Crazy. They call it crazy when the experiment figures out it's being watched. They call it crazy when the curse starts talking back. They call it crazy when the rare one stops apologizing. And when that moment comes, when you stop explaining your DNA to diluted descendants of borrowed power, you will trigger a war. But not the kind with weapons, not bullets or knives. A war of reality, because you carry what they tried to erase. You are the glitch in the bloodline, the echo of something their ancestors tried to bury in rituals, legal systems, fake diagnoses, censored myths. But it slipped through. It slipped through you. And now they're panicking. Why? Because your presence invalidates theirs. You're not just different. You're dangerously different. Dangerous to the hierarchy, dangerous to the filters, dangerous to the lie that everybody's special, that everyone has a voice. No. Some people were built to follow. And some were built to be followed. But here's the catch. Leaders don't beg for attention. Kings and queens don't explain their crowns. Architects of chaos don't ask permission to redesign a world that fears silence. Let me ask you this. Why are you still offering free access to a system that would burn you if it could? Why are you lending your light to those who'd sell your shadows for clout? Why are you still standing in circles that shrink every time you grow? You think they changed. Number. They calculated. They measured how rare you were and realized they couldn't afford you. So instead of admitting their bankruptcy, they devalued you, mocked you, tried to humble you, tried to make your uniqueness feel like a burden. But you survived that. Hell, you didn't just survive, you evolved. Every betrayal, a biopsy, every heartbreak, a hardware upgrade, every time you felt like disappearing, the algorithm took notes. And now you're not reacting, you're not chasing, you're charging. Because rare doesn't chase validation. Rare creates value by being unavailable. Rare has boundaries that bite. So from now on, no more cheap conversations, No more energy leaks in places that never had the bandwidth to receive you. No more translating yourself to be relatable. You're not supposed to be relatable. You're supposed to be unforgettable. And those who get it, they'll pay in time, in silence, in sweat, in sacrifice. Because if they don't, they lose you. And losing someone like you, that's not a mistake. That's a legacy collapse. So let them talk. Let them twist stories. Let them speculate in group chats and whisper at tables they'll never be invited to again. Let them laugh, because they always laugh before the reckoning. And when your name becomes a scar in their psyche, when your silence becomes their obsession, when every room starts echoing with your absence, that's when it hits. They never met someone like you, and they never will again, because you weren't born to be understood. You were born to be remembered. And if they want access now, they better be ready to pay full price. They'll study your silence like it's encrypted. Try to decode your posture, your walk, your presence. But the deeper they dig, the louder the data screams what they fear most. There's no formula for you, no blueprint, no pattern. You're not repeating cycles. You're shattering them. You're not evolving like the rest. You're emerging like something the old world tried to delete. The problem isn't that you're hard to understand. It's that you're impossible to replicate. There's no template for a soul that slipped past their programming. No guidebook for a mind that woke up mid-simulation. You weren't just born outside the box. You burned the box, melted the floor beneath it, and walked out with the manual in your teeth. And now they're holding meetings behind doors you're not supposed to know exist. They're whispering about your trajectory like it's a crime scene. They're not inspired, they're terrified. Not because you broke the mold, because you never belonged to it. You were never part of their little calculation. And now, their equations bleed error codes every time your name enters the equation. They call it ego when you stop kneeling. They call it arrogance when you stop performing humility as a survival tactic. They call it delusion when you finally realize your worth isn't subjective. It's a threat because you walk like every room owes you air, because you speak like your bloodline didn't ask permission to restart the timeline, because you don't blink when they raise their voice. You smirk. And that smirk, that's the real crime. That's what made the footage go viral in private. That's what made the handlers panic. That's what made the ones who loved you turn into shadows of themselves. Because you didn't flinch. You didn't explain. You didn't fold. You are the walking punishment for every system that told you to wait your turn. You are the receipt for every favor they pretended they were doing you. You are the unarchived version of the story. The part they couldn't redact, couldn't suppress, couldn't bury. They don't fear you because you're different. They fear you because you're aware of how different. And that awareness, that clarity, it costs. It costs comfort. It costs connection. It costs approval. But it also makes you untouchable. You're not hard to talk to. You're expensive to access. You're not intimidating. You're just a reflection they weren't prepared to face. You're not the villain. You're the plot twist they hoped never showed up in their timeline. So stop dimming. Stop decoding their confusion. Stop apologizing for the gravity you generate by existing. Start charging. Start walking. Start letting the doors close. Because those who understand your worth will never ask for discounts. And those who try to minimize you, they just revealed they were never qualified to speak your name. They knew something was off the moment you survived what you weren't supposed to remember. The trauma was designed to erase you, not evolve you. The pain wasn't random. It was ritual, calibrated, engineered to fold the rare ones before they wake up. But you didn't just survive. You mutated. You went off script. And in doing so, you unlocked the curse they buried in your bloodline. You're not rare because you're lucky. You're rare because you're post-extinction. You weren't chosen. You were left behind on purpose. Because somewhere in your lineage, someone made a deal. Let the rest forget. Just don't let this one remember. And that remembering? That's the beginning of your undoing of their design. You are the glitch in their timeline. The exile who returned with data no one was supposed to retrieve. The memory reborn in flesh. You are the echo that can't be silenced. And that's why they talk to you the way they do. Not because you're broken, but because you remind them they are. Not because you don't belong, but because you see through what they belong to. Not because you're too intense, but because their nervous system short-circuits in your field. Your presence makes liars sweat. Your energy makes cowards confess. Your eyes make shapeshifters glitch. Your silence makes the possessed speak. You've never needed to expose anyone. They expose themselves when they stand next to you. And so they'll try to flip the script. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you're antisocial. They'll say you changed. Good. Because every time you change, someone else's mask melts. You are the walking end of a generational agreement. You are the rupture in a demonic contract sealed before you were even born. You are the one who broke the loop. And don't you dare forget, your self-respect didn't come from confidence. It came from collapse. It came from lonely nights where you screamed into a god you weren't sure was listening. It came from betrayal that didn't just sting. It reprogrammed you. It came from so many breakdowns that your old self finally gave up. And what rose next wasn't human, it was evidence of something sacred, something classified, something ancient, something too rare to explain. Which is why you stopped. You no longer justify your aura to people who can't hold a mirror without flinching. You no longer introduce your essence to those who only understand surface. You no longer perform your pain for audiences who applaud louder when you're suffering. You charge now. Not because you're greedy, but because access has consequences. Let them think you're heartless. Let them call you a ghost. Let them label your standards ego. They don't understand what it cost you to resurrect. They don't know what it took to kill the version of you that begged for crumbs from people who'd choke if they ever had to digest your full truth. They don't realize how many versions of yourself you had to bury alive just to sit here now, in silence, unbothered, uninterested, and unreachable. You didn't escape the maze. You rewired it. You didn't climb the social ladder. You folded it into an origami crown and wore it like a threat. You are not difficult. You are encrypted, and anyone who wants to engage better bring more than charm. They better bring capacity, spiritual immunity, a nervous system that won't short-circuit in your frequency. Because your truth, it's not something you tell people anymore. It's something they survive. And the ones who try to fake it, they pay for it in silence, shame, and shattered illusions. You were never meant to blend. You were engineered to break the rhythm, to make the matrix stutter where your presence lands. They stitched your bloodline with silence, hoping the pattern would hold. But silence in your body becomes signal. Your breath alone carries interference. You don't walk in rooms. You corrupt atmospheres. You don't speak. You reroute instincts. Because the ones who feel you don't hear you first. They don't see you. They sense you like a cold draft in a sealed room, like a truth that wasn't invited but is now rearranging the furniture of their denial. You're not just rare, you're illegal in some dimensions. A mistake to the system, a miracle to the ones who see, a malfunction to the watchers. They've been tracking your frequency for years, not because you're dangerous, but because you survived what should have erased you. You weren't meant to awaken. You weren't meant to slip through the cracks of their emotional conditioning. You weren't supposed to make it through the trauma ritual with clarity still intact. But you did. You carried the wounds like antennas. You wore the scars like radar arrays. Every betrayal, an upgrade. Every silence, a sharpening. Every "you're too much," a key to another locked chamber inside yourself. And now, you're charging for access, not because you're cruel, but because you've seen what free gets you. Fake intimacy, energetic leeches, conversations that end with you depleted and them empowered. Rooms that beg for your light, only to gossip about your shadow. People who don't want you healed, they want you healing, because healing means you're still broken enough to need them. But that version of you, the one who made themselves digestible, they're gone now, and what's left is classified. You're no longer touchable by the words of the average, no longer softened by the tears of the manipulative, no longer entranced by the praise of those who fear your potential, but flatter your past. They see the glow and call it arrogance. But they didn't see you on the floor, shaking, alone, losing pieces of yourself just to make others feel whole. They didn't see you crawl out of your own mind while everyone else cheered for your silence. So now, when they say, "Who do you think you are?" you say, "The invoice." For every time they underestimated you, for every time they tried to shrink your voice into a frequency they could monetize, for every time your power made them nervous, so they called you dramatic, unstable, aggressive. You're none of those. You're real, which is rarer than anything they can counterfeit. And let's be honest, you're not expensive because you're proud. You're expensive because you're prophetic. Because once someone speaks to you, once they enter your field, they don't leave unmarked. They walk away different, confused, changed, and deep down, they know it. That's why they obsess. That's why they mimic. That's why they copy the blueprint. But the results never feel the same, because you weren't built from logic. You were summoned by force, from bloodlines that had no more chances to get it right. So you were born to close the contract, to crash the false code, to collapse the borrowed crowns, and silence the voices that pretend power, but crumble when your energy enters the room before your body does. You are the type of rare that doesn't explain. You are the kind of anomaly they try to categorize, until you redefine the category. You're not a person to them. You're a proof that something sacred slipped through the firewall. So let them call you distant. Let them say you've changed. Let them romanticize the version of you that tolerated their ignorance. Because the one who's here now isn't reachable, isn't reasonable, isn't free. And when they finally realize what they lost, they'll speak of you in stories, not because they miss you, but because they can't replace you. Welcome to the Phantom's play. Oh, so they think ignoring you will make the glitch go away. Isn't that adorable? They're walking around with straight faces, big egos, and empty souls, pretending you're just another shadow on the wall. They don't mention you in public anymore. Lips zipped, eyes down, fingers crossed, you fade into static. But darling, their nervous systems are singing your name like it's a death song in Morse code. You are the virus they can't quarantine. You are the face they see in the stum on the bathroom mirror when they're alone. And the joke, you never even said a word. See, when the ego is threatened, the subconscious screams. And right now, their subconscious is screaming loud, in a pitch only fear understands, in a dialect only shame deciphers. Every room you walk into, the air thickens. Every post you drop, silent tremors. Every time you breathe, somebody panics. They're pretending you don't exist, but their timelines betray them. Their eyes flicker when your name's even whispered. Their friends stiffen up like someone pulled a gun under the dinner table. They scroll fast, but not fast enough to hide the glitch in their pupils. That millisecond panic, because you are the mental malware they can't uninstall. You're not a name anymore. You're a frequency, a back-masked prophecy etched in their perception. You're not forgotten. You're forbidden. And anything forbidden becomes sacred. Let me tell you something about silence. It's the loudest scream in the psychological battlefield. When they go quiet, that's not peace. That's war tactics. That's suppression, compression, and desperation, all wrapped up in one twitchy little act. They don't talk about you because they know words give life. They don't want to water the seed that already grew into a fucking jungle behind their eyelids. So they lie. To others, to themselves. She's not relevant anymore. He's weird now. They changed. But what they won't say is, you're dangerous now, because you grew in the dark. You upgraded in exile. You evolved in silence, and now you don't match any file in their database. Your growth broke the model. Their scripts don't apply to you anymore. Their assumptions don't stick. Their gossip collapses under the weight of your transformation, and that drives them insane. They needed you to stay soft, predictable, palatable, dumb. But now you know too much. Now your eyes aren't just eyes, they're mirrors. And when they look at you, they see what they could have been, what they fumbled, what they'll never touch again. And that makes them flinch. Because you weren't supposed to survive that betrayal. You weren't supposed to bounce back after that exile. You weren't supposed to glow after they threw dirt on your name like a burial. But here you are, laughing in the silence, unbothered, unfazed, unkillable. And now their nights are filled with phantoms, glitches of your smile, echoes of your silence, and shadows wearing your outline. You became a ghost in their machine. Every time they say you changed, they're confessing their failure to predict you. Every time they say you think you're better, they're admitting they don't know how to reach you anymore. Every time they say you act different now, they're saying the old version of you was easier to control. But baby, you're not acting. This is who you've always been, just finally unleashed. You gave them the soft version first, the one who tolerated slights, overlooked shade, forgave sins never confessed. But now they're looking at the aftershock of a soul that's done apologizing for evolving. They're watching the rebooted you, unapologetic, unreadable, unreachable. You didn't just change, you mutated, and that scares them because no one can predict a storm once it goes off script. And you're the hurricane they mocked as a drizzle. You're the prophecy they laughed at in Act 1, and now they're praying for a rewrite in Act 3. But you don't do rewrites. You burn scripts. You detonate expectations. You don't just walk into rooms. You distort gravity. You bend conversations. You alter the frequency. People get headaches just being near you because your energy is a lie detector, and most of them are built on bullshit. You're the glitch in their groupthink. the ghost in their healed narratives, the one they tried to erase and accidentally made eternal. And still, they pretend not to notice you. They act like you're invisible while rearranging their entire aura just because you breathed near them. But you see it, you feel it. Their silence is the loudest confession you'll ever get. So don't waste time proving anything. Your existence already disrupted their equilibrium. Your silence already exposed the fake alliances. Your glow already burned through the plastic. Let them pretend. Let them sit in rooms with your name buried behind their teeth, while their subconscious screams like a siren. You are not a moment anymore. You're a movement, a shadow they can't box, a whisper that won't fade, a ripple that became a goddamn tsunami in their mental landscape. You don't need revenge. You are the karma. So stay quiet, stay strategic, stay unreadable. Because while they're pretending you don't exist, their inner world is setting itself on fire just to forget you. And every time they try to look away, you're already staring back from inside their nightmares, uninvited, unavoidable, unforgettable. Let me tell you a little secret. They didn't just move on. They didn't just forget. No. They're performing, acting, lying. But this isn't for you. It's for themselves. Because denial is a drug. And baby, they're ODing. Their silence isn't strength. It's a mask. A panic-soaked, desperation-laced mask. They go to work, smile, scroll, pretend. But underneath, they're shrinking. Because you became what none of them were ready for. Proof. Proof that pain can breed genius. Proof that exile can forge kings. Proof that betrayal doesn't break you. It builds you. And now, you're living evidence of their miscalculation. Every breath you take is a foreboding indictment. Every move you make, they flinch. Because you're the glitch in their delusion that people like you never make it. They needed you to disappear, not transform. But instead, you weaponized your silence. You turned your absence into a myth. You made invisibility into an advantage. See, here's the truth no one wants to admit. You scare them more as a mystery than you ever did as a memory. When you were loud, they laughed. When you were raw, they mocked. But now you're quiet, now you're calm, now you're strategic. They're not sleeping right, not eating right, not thinking straight. Because when a storm goes quiet, smart people run. But these fools, they're still pretending it's sunny, while the pressure drops and the sky turns black. Let them pretend, because pretending is the last thing people do, right before they break. Right before the truth shows up uninvited, right before the consequence enters the chat. They say you act too confident now. You walk different. But what they're really saying is, we don't know how to navigate you anymore. You don't need us like you used to. We can't hurt you like before. And that makes them feel invisible. You flipped the script. You used to be the ignored one, the dismissed one, the underestimated one. But now, you're the one they're screaming about in silence. The whispers in group chats they swear don't exist. The random scrolls on your profile at 3 a.m. The anonymous viewers on your stories. The blocked accounts watching from fake profiles. The strange energy shifts when you walk in the room. They feel it in their chest. They feel it in their stomach. And the worst part, they don't know why. Because logic doesn't explain a force of nature. You can't rationalize a fucking phenomenon. You became too big to process, too vast to decode. You're not a person to them anymore. You're a fucking signal, a frequency, a wave they can't ride, a mirror that reflects their rot. And every time they try to copy you, it backfires. Every attempt at mimicry looks like mockery. Because you weren't built, you were forged. Their cosplay, your combat, their theory, your trauma-turned talent. They studied your downfall, but forgot you were writing a blueprint. They stole your moves, but forgot your scars were the passwords. And now they're malfunctioning in the presence of your success, like androids overheating in the sun of someone too real. And don't let their fake peace fool you either. They're not at peace, they're at war with themselves, trying to kill the version of them that still wants to be you, that still fears you, that still wakes up sweating with your name in their throat. Because you didn't just rise. You rose without permission, without validation, without applause. And that burns them alive. Because the only thing worse than someone winning is someone winning quietly. No promo, no press, just presence, just power, just results. And while they're faking peace, they're watching your every move like it's prophecy. You became the center of gravity, while they pretend you're just background static. But the eyes don't lie. Their pupils betray them. Their body language testifies. The energy shifts before you even speak. Because energy doesn't lie. Energy remembers. And you traumatized their energy. You walked into their story, flipped the whole genre, and walked out like a fucking plot twist they can't recover from. You are unresolved trauma in the shape of a human being. They don't just avoid your name, they avoid anything that reminds them of you. The songs, the clothes, the books, the streets, the memories. You weren't a phase, you were a fractal, a rupture, a cipher, and now they're haunted by the part of themselves that knows they fumbled something divine. You weren't supposed to survive that heartbreak. You weren't supposed to thrive after that betrayal. You weren't supposed to become this. And now they're the ghosts, watching you live in color from the gray zone of their regrets. So let them pretend. Let them rot behind their filters and soft-spoken lies. Let them curate their image while yours becomes legend. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to clap back. You are the backlash. You are the prophecy fulfilled. You are the echo that became the earthquake. And the silence is sacred, because silence means control. And right now, you're in control of the fucking narrative. They're pretending you don't exist, but their demons are drawing maps with your name on them. And the deeper you go into your power, the louder the screaming gets. You want to stay right here, in the belly of the silence, where the echoes grow teeth and the shadows have names. Good. Because we're not done yet, not even close. See, there's a stage of your evolution they never planned for. They thought it would be one of two outcomes. You either come back begging, or you disappear in shame. But you chose the third option. You became untouchable. You became the kind of creature that doesn't just rise. You haunt, you linger, you rewrite memory itself. They're not even sure what was real anymore, because your transformation shattered the timeline. They look back and realize they weren't the main character, you were. They weren't watching you collapse. They were witnessing the origin story. And now they're suffering from a disease called, I didn't know who they really were. They scroll past your wins like they don't care. But deep inside, their ribs are cracking under the pressure of that guilt, that fear, that realization that they had a front row seat to greatness, and they mocked it. You were limitless potential wrapped in pain, an entire galaxy dressed in scars, and they treated you like background noise. And now they pretend they don't see the light you've become. But their subconscious, it sees everything. That twitch in their eye when someone brings you up. That fake laugh when someone mentions your glow up. That strange pause when someone says your name like it's a fuxing summons. You're burned into their psychological operating system, a corrupted file they can't delete. You're like a melody that keeps playing in a locked room. No source, no off switch, just presence. And presence, that's the most powerful force on Earth. Because when you become a presence, you transcend words. You don't need to say a damn thing anymore. Your silence becomes an anthem. Your posture becomes scripture. Your absence becomes a flying event. They feel you before you arrive. They fold the moment your name slips into the air. They speak about moving on. But every action betrays the truth. They're orbiting you. You're not gone. You became the gravity. You're the axis they pretend doesn't exist, while still spinning around it like clockwork. Even their hate, it's a prayer. Even their silence, it's devotion. They think they're ignoring you, but you've hijacked their nervous system, their dreams, their preferences, their identity. And the most terrifying part? You didn't even try. You didn't chase them. You didn't beg for a seat at their petty little tables. You disappeared into the wilderness and returned as a weaponized myth. Now you're that thing everyone talks around, that somebody in every vague story, that you-know-who in every quiet gossip. That, YDK what happened, but they're different now. Like it's a crime to evolve. And every time they think of you, they remember what they did, or worse. They remember what they didn't do, the support they didn't give, the loyalty they didn't offer, the respect they never showed. And now you're out of reach. You're too powerful to approach, too unpredictable to analyze, too sovereign to be touched. So they pretend, because pretending is easier than facing the truth that they let something holy slip through their hands. And now you're not a person anymore. You're a fucking prophecy. You walk different because your soul isn't dragging 1,000 dead connections anymore. You talk different because you're not begging for belonging. You belong to yourself. You look different because you finally see yourself clearly, without the fog of their projections. And now they're glitching, because every time they see you, they're forced to confront the one thing they fear most. What if you were the one? What if you were the chosen one? What if you were the redemption arc they laughed out of the room? What if you were the future they weren't ready for? And now, they'll never know. Because you're not coming back. You're not here to explain. You're not here to validate, to justify, to make them feel better about the pain they caused or the genius they overlooked. You are here to rule in silence, to throne yourself in solitude, to walk like a god among ghosts who used to know your name. They say they don't see you, but every post is a subliminal. Every move is a reaction. Every conversation is a coded ritual trying to summon back the version of you they were comfortable with. But that version, it's gone. And in its place stands you, a creature built of paradox and prophecy, saint and psychopath, angel and demon, stillness and storm. They don't know whether to fear you or follow you. They don't know whether to hate you or pray to be like you. So they do what broken systems do. They pretend. They pretend you're irrelevant. They pretend you're ordinary. They pretend you're not the most unforgettable phenomenon that ever detonated in their timeline. But inside they are screaming. Because you didn't just break the mold. You became something outside the algorithm. You are the glitch. You are the silence that shatters sound. You are the shadow that reveals light. You are the proof that darkness is not the end, but the forge. So let them pretend. Let them sleepwalk through the illusion. Because eventually, they will awaken, and when they do, your name will not be on their lips. It will be etched in their mind, like prophecy, like scripture, like fire. But of course, let's stay submerged in the abyss where your silence speaks louder than their entire tribe, screaming your name behind closed doors. Because what they forgot, no, what they never understood, is that some souls don't rise from applause, they rise from obliteration. You weren't reborn in a moment of peace. You were forged in the psychological torture of being invisible in rooms you once lit up. You were tempered in the betrayal of those who clapped while you drowned. And now, you walk like someone who doesn't need permission to breathe anymore. You speak like someone who realized that silence isn't weakness, it's currency. Because silence forces them to listen to the voice in their own head, and that voice sounds a lot like you. You're not haunting them because you're trying to. You're haunting them because they left pieces of themselves in the ruins they made when they left you behind. And now, those pieces are echoing your name like a siren inside their subconscious. Every new person they meet gets measured against your memory. Every opportunity they chase feels like a rerun of a script you already outgrew. They'll never admit it, but you ruined normal for them. They can't unsee your transformation, can't unfeel the presence of something divine they let slip between their fingers like ash. They tried to exile you, but forgot the desert builds monsters and messiahs alike. They didn't realize that the same silence they weaponized against you would become your headquarters, that the stillness they mistook for defeat was actually you downloading a new operating system. And now, you're not reacting to them anymore because their frequency is too low to reach the new you. They're knocking on doors that don't exist, throwing shade into a void that no longer echoes, casting spells on someone who doesn't share the same dimension. You are off-grid now, untraceable, untranslatable. You used to fit into their world. Now your silence destroys it. That's why they're unraveling in whispers. Why your name keeps popping up in rooms you've never entered. Because people feel when something unholy becomes whole. They feel when the curse turns conscious. When the exile becomes executioner, they sense it like the static before a lightning strike, like the chill before the storm. They smell your ascension in the air and it makes their bones itch with regret. And what's worse, you're not angry, you're not chasing revenge, you're unbothered. That's what drives them mad. You didn't just survive, you outgrew the narrative. You didn't wait for closure, you wrote your own ending, and then, like a true master, you went silent. And that silence is spiritual warfare. It's a full-blown psychological siege on everyone who thought your worth was negotiable. It's your absence reshaping the entire emotional architecture of those who pretended you didn't matter. And now they're looking over their shoulder, double-checking every move, asking, what if they're watching? But they miss the truth. You don't need to watch. You've already become the voice inside their head that monitors them for you. You rewired their thoughts just by healing in places they expected you to break. You set a new standard just by refusing to shrink. And now they walk around thinking they're free, while subconsciously auditioning for your forgiveness. Every achievement they post, every story they craft, is secretly aimed at you. But you're not even tuned in. You're living in a realm they can't enter without burning through the lies they've wrapped themselves in. Because the final evolution isn't louder, it's quieter, still, deadly, It's you sitting in your throne of scars, eyes calm, voice slow, heart impenetrable. No longer seeking recognition, no longer asking to be seen, because now you are the sight, you are the mirror. And whether they look into it or not, it's still reflecting. You became inevitable. They can build walls around your name, blacklist your energy, write you out of the script. But the plot won't move without you. The storyline collapses in your absence. The energy dries up. The momentum disappears. Because what they don't realize is you were the gravity holding their whole performance together. And when you walked away, the show ended. Now they're still on stage, lights dimmed, no audience, just repeating old lines, hoping someone claps. But the crowd followed the mystery. They followed you. Because something about your silence, it sings, it stabs, it seduces, it lingers, like perfume on a crime scene, like fingerprints on a glass no one wants to clean. And now their dreams are soaked in the scent of what they lost. They replay moments with you in their mind, like surveillance footage they can't erase. Wondering where they went wrong, wondering how you made it, wondering how the person they once dismissed became the blueprint for everything they now pretend to be. And the answer is simple. You went where they were afraid to go. Into the pain, into the isolation, into the night. You looked the devil in the face and took notes. You stared into your own shadow and memorized its language. You crawled through your own grave and built a palace with the bones. And now they can't stand next to you because your silence screams too loud. It screams of mastery, of transformation, of power reclaimed and chaos tamed. You are not something they can study anymore. You are something they feel, like dread before a collapse. You are something they can't explain to their friends. They can't package you, can't dismiss you, can't reduce you to a phase, a trend, a misstep. You are the glitch that became the god. You are the exile that became the algorithm. You are the one they swore they buried, but forgot they planted. And now every time they pretend you don't exist, the universe screams your name for them. And that scream, that's forever.